The key thing to remember about quitting porn is that you don't quit porn. Pornography isn't something you leave behind the way you leave one country to emigrate to another. The key to not looking at porn anymore is managing sexual temptation. People who quit smoking know that victory comes by managing their nicotine cravings. Alcoholics who give up drink learn that sobriety comes by managing the urge to pick up the bottle. This is a vital thing for you to understand, believe, and put into practice. You don't quit porn. You manage temptation. You don't conquer porn or defeat porn or even forsake porn. You overcome the temptation to search for porn. You conquer the desire to look at porn. So don't think about quitting porn. Think about defeating temptation. If you want to quit porn, stop thinking about porn. Stop thinking of your struggle in terms of websites, apps, videos, and images. Start thinking of your battle as the one you have with yourself, because that is where you find victory. You don't conquer porn and leave it behind. You attain and maintain sexual purity by managing sexual temptation. After all, your battle isn't with porn exactly. Your battle is with yourself, with your wicked desires, your sinful lusts, your sexually immoral fantasies. This is where you win the victory, not by fighting porn, but by fighting the desire to search, the temptation to look. Your enemy isn't porn, your enemy is temptation. Beat temptation and you beat porn. One thing to understand about sexual immorality is that it isn't an act as much as a sequence of events that ends in an act. Take porn, for instance. The act of looking at porn is simply the end result of a chain of events. First, you have a craving. You feel an urge to seek out porn. So you get out your phone. You browse to that site. You search for that term. Then you look and look some more. Then you consummate the looking by doing you know what with yourself. Notice that the final act in the sordid play began with a simple temptation. If you long to quit porn, you must learn how to respond when you get that initial craving. You quit porn forever only by overcoming temptation daily, even hourly. When the Apostle Paul wrote to the church at Corinth and told them to flee sexual immorality, he was commanding them to take an action that is backed up by modern science. You likely know from experience that resisting sexual temptation gets progressively harder the longer you try to resist. That's because looking at porn releases dopamine into your brain. Dopamine is a chemical messenger between your brain cells. Watching porn releases unnaturally high levels of dopamine. You feel a sense of euphoria and bliss. Watching porn feels awesome. But dopamine also acts as a reward system. It motivates you to repeat the activities that release the dopamine, namely looking at porn and masturbating. So to avoid the sin, avoid the dopamine. In other words, flee sexual temptation. Sexual sin isn't an act, but a sequence of events that end in an act. The sequence starts with a trigger, often an image that you see. That's followed by a thought, usually whether you should keep looking. Then comes the chemical release, the dopamine that travels to your brain and feels good. Then your body changes, your pulse increases, your breathing increases, you begin to get aroused. If you want to quit porn and to avoid the physical act that goes with it, detour before the dopamine. As soon as you encounter something sexually tempting, hop off the temptation train. The longer you stay on, the farther down the track you travel and the harder it is to hop off the train as the train accelerates. One vital truth to understand about sexual temptation is that you don't resist. You flee. Temptation isn't something you fight, it's something you escape. This is what Paul commands you to do when he tells you to flee sexual immorality and to flee youthful lusts. Not stand and fight, not pray about it, not wrestle with the temptation. What then? Run away. As soon as you see a pornographic image, flee. When you feel lust building up inside, escape. When you hear a solicitation to sin sexually, run for your life. Don't stay where you are. Don't remain in the same spot, hoping to put up an adequate defense. Don't stay and pray. Run! You quit porn by managing temptation, and you manage temptation by running away. Not a single temptation is irresistible. No sexual craving is impossible to overcome. God promises that in every temptation, in every trial, He always gives you a way out so that you do not have to sin. Here's God's promise to you. No temptation has overtaken you except such as is common to man, but God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but with the temptation will also make the way of escape, that you may be able to bear it. God always provides a way of escape from sexual temptation. Always. Look around and you'll find it. If you are struggling with porn, you may feel as though you are drowning in your sin. Porn is so all-consuming, so seemingly addictive, that you think you have no way to stay afloat. But you do, guaranteed. God always throws you a life preserver. Read 1 Corinthians chapter 10. No temptation has overtaken you except such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but with the temptation will also make the way of escape, that you may be able to bear it. Every time you are tempted to sin by watching porn, God throws you a life preserver. God gives you the way to escape the temptation and not to drown, but you have to grab that life preserver.